just a little word about pencils. Pencils used to be made of lead, these type of pencils. Now they're made of something called graphite. And when you see an H on the end of a pencil, does anyone know what the H means? Any of you have architect fathers or engineer? Yeah. You do, but you don't know. Okay. An H on a pencil means that it's a very, very hard piece of graphite inside. It will make a very fine line, okay? When we're drawing at this point, we like to use B pencils, and they go from 2B, 3B, 4B, 5B, 6B, and 6B is a very, very soft one. For this particular thing, I like to use a 2B pencil. And so you each get a 2B pencil to work with. Many artists have found that basic shapes are to be found in everything. We're just going to work at first with some very, very simple shapes, basic shapes. And you can see what this is. You all know that this is a cube. And we're going to be doing a blind contour drawing. It's an exercise it trains your eye to see more clearly and more accurately, okay? You will not be looking at the paper. You will just be focusing on a point on the cube here, and these are the contours, okay? All these lines that you see here, these are the contours. I want to show you, this is the difference between a silhouette, which we talked about yesterday, and a contour. I want to see everyone just holding their pencil on the paper very loosely. Okay? Now I want you to focus on any point at all on this cube. Look toward the cube, which is your subject matter today. Try to relax about it. It's an important step in your drawing technique. Focus at any point on the cube, and you must continue to look at it. If you look away, then the whole thing is lost. So it's real important just to focus on any point on the cube there. Focusing on that point makes a changeover in your brain, which releases some things and opens up other abilities. Pretty soon you'll get to a point where your pencil will feel as if it's touching that point on the cube. In a few minutes, I'm going to be saying to you to let your eye start moving. And you, when I say that, you will be letting your eye just wander very, very steadily and slowly around those contours. You can start now exploring the contours of that cube. Don't look at your paper, whatever you do. It's most important with blind contours to not look at the paper. You're examining the form in front of you. I'm now going to put some other familiar objects to the grouping. You need your next sheet of paper. We're going to do another blind contour. So you'll be drawing the contours as you see them. Don't separate the objects. So let's do the focusing again. Okay, let your eyes start moving around the contours. Let your pencil move at the same time, slowly and steadily. And remember, you're not making a drawing. You're just going through an exercise in seeing, sharpening your perception. Just be patient with yourself and go through this exercise. It will help you a lot in seeing more clearly and being able to draw with more clarity and accuracy. Good, you're doing really well. Just let your eye continue to travel around the contours. Let's turn the paper over, and we'll do a little fun activity. What I'd like you to do is look at this grouping, look at in your eye, and very quickly, without going through the process that we have, just draw what you see, okay? Don't bother with any of the other things. We're just going to compare a normal, at least your usual drawing method with your contour drawing.
No shading this time?
No shading. We'll do shading this afternoon. I know it's real interesting to work with shading and modeling, but we'll just deal with line work this morning. Okay? So let's just draw in your usual manner, and then you can compare. When you've drawn these objects in your usual manner, check back on the modified contour, which was the second exercise where you were looking occasionally. See which one you think is most accurate. Did you find that you were looking more clearly at the objects after doing the contours? Did you sort of see things more that you normally miss? Because that's usually what happens. And I would like you to, first of all, turn your drawing around in many different ways. Just turn it around as if it's on a swivel. See what the shapes remind you of as you turn it around. Does it remind you of an animal or a building? Just look very closely. And the thing that it reminds you of, I'd like you to just add some other things to it to make a drawing. You can add whatever you like to those basic shapes that you've drawn, sort of making it a basis for a more expressive drawing. And this is what many artists do. They take a subject from life, make a drawing, and then emphasize certain things about the drawing or add to it in some way. You can add texture too, you know. You can make texture and use different kinds of line work. We learned yesterday that there aren't just straight lines. You can add other kinds of lines to it. So think of some other lines that we worked with yesterday. I have some really, really dark pencils here, and they're made of charcoal. I'm going to let you use one of these dark pencils to work with on places that you might want to emphasize on your drawings. So try combining the really dark line with your lighter line. Usually charcoal isn't used with pencil, but when you're working with exercises, whatever works the best and the simplest is usually quite acceptable. Sit back from your drawing and try to think of something else you might want to add to that drawing. Sometimes when you sit well back from it, it can suggest things to you. Who would like to be the first one to share their drawings? There's some very... Could you hold it up and show everyone?
It's a weird cat wearing googly eyes, and for a mouth it has an anchor.
Could I hold this one up while you tell us about it?
Oh. Just a cat.
Aaron was reminded of the castle by the shapes. Jacob, could you hold yours up?
I was sort of turning it around,
Uh-huh.
and I looked on it, and it looked sort of like a human face with something on his shoulder, sort of like some kind of rocket launcher or something. So
Uh-huh.
I turned it into some kind of weapon.
What is interesting is that how shapes can remind us of different things. And I'm sure that you've seen that. Can you think of any instance where you've looked at an object and it's reminded you of something else? I often do that. You can see that that kind of reminds you of something. What? What does it remind you of? Of what? A mouth. So, I don't know about this. What kind of thing does this remind you of? A beak? Yes, a bird's head. Okay, how about this one? This kind of
Small birds.
reminds me of a bird. I've been talking to the people who work with looking after trees and caring for trees. And they have loaned me these things because they know that this week you are caring for trees in your own way by drawing them. And one of the things we'll do this morning is we'll apply our new drawing skills to drawing some of these things. I'm going to give you some more drawing paper, and I would like you to try to fill your paper with this drawing. Work really large. Be sure you're looking at the object very frequently. Don't just draw from memory for this particular exercise. What I want to see happening is your eyes constantly going back and forth from your paper to the object. Then I know that you're really looking at it. If you can train yourself to do this, it will be a really big step that you've taken in your drawing skills. Don't draw more than, say, a half an inch without your eyes back on the object. There are some very extremely good drawings, very accurate, and some very nice styles appearing. You like the way?
I made the handles.
Good. Okay. Can I show that to everyone? Daniel likes the way he made the handles. Jacob likes...
The way I did the saw-like thing.
Uh-huh. Wade has done an interesting drawing. I'd like you to just sit back in your chairs and relax for a few minutes. And I'll show you some very lovely pictures in this book. You might want to remember the name. It's a book of photographs by an artist photographer named Feininger. Look at this one. This is an excellent example of different branch skeleton. Look how these branches zip off to the side and these sweep up. Look at this. Now this is you'll be looking for this tomorrow. You know, you'll be looking at for bark texture as you're doing your drawing outside. This is a good example of what type of texture would you say? Vertical. The texture has vertical lines to it.